In the previous chapter, Zhuo Fan defied all logic, transforming his soul into the heaven-devouring demonic Dragon King, overwhelming Ye Lin's golden dragon. As Ye Lin struggled against the dark dragon's relentless power, he vowed to unleash the true might of his pure heaven dragon soul. Let's begin the chapter. A dragon is the strongest and most fearsome creature. Ye Lin's voice carried a hint of mockery as he declared, "Your demonic dragon may be able to handle my flames, but it's still too soft. Let me show you how a true dragon should be." With a determined shout, Ye Lin completed his hand signs. "Reveal your brutality, decimating Golden Heaven Dragon King, scale shedding." A deafening roar erupted from Ye Lin's dragon, a sound filled with raw power and rage. Blinding golden light burst forth from its body as it shook violently, forcing the demonic dragon off. The moment the demonic dragon tried to recover, the golden dragon's shimmering scales stood upright, each one radiating an intense heat. With a swift motion, the scales shot out like a storm of tiny blazing blades. Each carried the scorching flames of the golden dragon, capable of reducing anything to ashes. Zhuo Fan's eyes narrowed as unease gripped him. His instincts, honed through 2 lifetimes, screamed danger. Without hesitation, he tried to move, his soul away from the demonic dragon. But even his speed wasn't enough. The golden scales rained down like a fiery monsoon, striking the demonic dragon's body. The golden flames seeped into it, leaving no time for the demonic dragon to resist. With a horrifying detonation, the flames exploded inside it. The resulting chaos sent waves of pain and torment through the demonic dragon, its body convulsing uncontrollably. Zhuo Fan, too, felt the agony resonate deep within his mind. Almost unbearable. Ye Lin chuckled darkly, his dragon now free to attack unopposed. He commanded it to claw at the demonic dragon's skull, launching an aggressive assault from 2 directions. The demonic dragon's pitch-black aura had scattered after, the explosions leaving it disoriented. It barely noticed the incoming claw aimed straight at its face. Grinning with satisfaction, Ye Lin watched as his dragon's claw raked across the demonic dragon's head, the force so brutal it felt as though he had slapped Zhuo Fan directly. His laughter echoed through the battlefield. "Ha ha ha! Even if your dragon can handle my flames, it's weak, pathetic. A dragon should be strong, brutal, and perfect. That mess of yours? It's a joke compared to my golden dragon." The audience, initially hopeful for Zhuo Fan, now fell silent. Their fleeting optimism had been snuffed out as they watched Ye Lin take control of the fight. Even the exalted double, dragons, who had been impressed by Zhuo Fan's tactics earlier, now shook their heads. Though they admired his ingenuity, they couldn't deny that Ye Lin's dragon soul was superior. It wasn't just stronger, it was perfectly adapted to battle. Meanwhile, Zhuo Fan's dragon soul, split into a scarlet and demonic form, had notable strengths but glaring weaknesses. This imbalance left it vulnerable. One of the exalted seemed to recall something, but quickly dismissed the thought. That would never happen. A twice-altered soul is already miraculous. To merge 2 completely opposite forces? Impossible. Zhuo Fan had given everything he had, yet it wasn't enough. If he could somehow fuse the 2 forms, murmured Zi Tianshang, his voice heavy with doubt. Beside him, Wen Tao shook his head firmly. "That's not possible. I don't even know how that demonic dragon came to exist, but it's clearly extreme yin. Yin is soft, capable of countering golden flames just as our soft swords parry strong blows. But his scarlet dragon is the opposite, extreme, yang, brutal and unyielding. While yin and yang can complement each other, they can also repel each other violently. If he tried to unite them, it would either create something unprecedented or destroy him entirely." Xie Tianshang frowned, still skeptical. But what if he succeeds? Wouldn't it be unstoppable? Wen Tao sighed, his expression grave. Even if he could pull off such a feat, it might not be enough. A dragon is more than its forms. A true dragon embodies unparalleled strength and ferocity. Yelin's dragon soul isn't just a flame dragon, it's an explosive force of destruction. Zhuofan's dragons lack that brutal edge. They're just not strong enough to stand against an attack like scale shedding. As they debated, a sudden roar interrupted their thoughts. The sound sent shockwaves through the battlefield, and all eyes turned toward Zhuofan's dragon soul. It had shifted once more, reverting to its scarlet form. With a furious roar, the almighty Scarlet Dragon King intercepted the Golden Dragon's next attack. Its claws struck with incredible force, slamming into the Golden Dragon's head and driving it into the ground. For a moment, the tide seemed to turn. The Scarlet Dragon's overwhelming power dominated the battlefield, proving itself as a true king. The audience erupted in cheers, their excitement rekindled. But the Golden Dragon was far from defeated. It twisted its massive body and lashed out with its tail, covered in deadly golden scales. The Scarlet Dragon responded in kind, whipping its own tail to defend itself. The resulting clash sent shockwaves, rippling through the air. Despite its toughness, the Scarlet Dragon wailed in pain as the relentless assault chipped away at its scales and drained its strength. Shi Tianshang now understood the meaning of brutality. Zhuofan's variations were impressive, but they couldn't withstand the sheer force of Yelin's Golden Dragon, the scale. Shedding technique was just too powerful. The exalted elders exchanged glances, silently urging the judge to intervene and end the match. But Zhuofan, though bloodied and battered, refused to concede. He commanded his Scarlet Dragon to shift back into the heaven-devouring demonic Dragon King. The black dragon absorbed the lingering golden flames on its body, buying Zhuofan a moment to catch his breath. Yet even he knew the truth. The two forms alone wouldn't be enough to defeat Yelin. Yelin's voice dripped with arrogance. "It's over, Zhuofan. Your variations are no match for my perfect dragon soul. A second-rate creation can never defeat true perfection." Zhuofan sneered, wiping blood from his lips. "Brat, stop crowing. The fight isn't over until it's over." Yelin's expression darkened. "Still clinging to false hope? Fine. If you're so eager to die, I'll grant your wish. Scale shedding." The Golden Dragon unleashed another storm of fiery scales. This time, however, Zhuofan's Scarlet Dragon didn't dodge. It didn't even attempt to defend itself. Instead, its body began to glow faintly, its crimson light dimming until it became almost translucent. Then, to everyone's shock, the Scarlet Dragon was engulfed in azure flames, its form transformed, radiating an otherworldly aura. Zhuofan's voice rang out, filled with defiance and determination. "Dragon Soul Variant, Vaulting Dragon King." Zhuofan's abilities had already left the audience in awe. But now, as he changed once again, the crowd couldn't believe their eyes. It was as if they had been turned to stone, their faces frozen in shock. To witness someone wield two variations of the same soul was already baffling, but a third, it defied all logic. Murmurs spread among the stunned spectators. What kind of cultivation method could produce such an anomaly? Unbeknownst to them, Zhuofan's demon transformation art encompassed everything. The azure flame he wielded was a perfect mediator between yin and yang, embodying balance and harmony. It allowed him to master countless variations without conflict, an advantage that no other cultivation path could offer. The truth was, 3 variations were merely scratching the surface of Zhuofan's potential. He could summon hundreds if needed. In contrast, Yelin's cultivation was bound by the legacy of the decimating Golden Heaven Dragon King. His soul path was fixed and unyielding. Similarly, Wen Tao's gentle sword soul was harmonious but rigid. Such rigidity meant their paths were limited. Zhuofan, however, was different. His cultivation method was crafted by the 9 Serenities sovereign himself, designed to assimilate the broad spectrum of skills and techniques from countless experts. This adaptability allowed Zhuo Fan to compensate for weaknesses and outmaneuver opponents who relied on depth rather than breadth. The current battle was a perfect example. Ye Lin, inheritor of a dragon ancestor's power, was a master of his fierce, golden flame. Zhuo Fan, however, relied on his demon transformation art's flexibility. When faced with the overwhelming power of Ye Lin's golden flame, Zhuo Fan chose to counter with the vaulting Dragon King's soul. Its harmony and balance were the perfect antidotes to Ye Lin's brutality. As Ye Lin's golden dragon unleashed a barrage of burning scales, the azure dragon roared in defiance. It charged straight into the attack, seemingly unfazed. The audience held their breath, fearing the azure dragon would meet the same fate as Zhuo Fan's previous variations. But as the golden flames engulfed the azure dragon, something miraculous happened. The savage energy of the golden flames was absorbed and transformed by the azure flames, turning them into a source of power. The crowd erupted in disbelief. "How is this possible?" someone murmured. The azure dragon, now burning brighter and stronger, mocked the golden dragon with a triumphant roar. Ye Lin's expression darkened. His shock turned into realization as he muttered, "Is this the vaulting Kunpeng's chaos flame?" He recalled his master's teachings. Among the 5 great sacred beasts, only 2 wielded divine flames. The decimating dragon ancestor commanded the destructive golden flame, while the vaulting Kunpeng wielded the gentle chaos flame of creation. These flames were the essence of yin and yang, one capable of destroying the heavens, the other capable of holding them up. For the first time, doubt crept into Ye Lin's mind. Who exactly was Zhuo Fan? Was he a disciple of the Qilin or the Kunpeng? The azure flame's power hinted at a connection to the vaulting Kunpeng, but Zhuo Fan's Qilin arm suggested otherwise. The mystery only deepened. As the azure dragon and the golden dragon clashed, Ye Lin refused to back down. He commanded his golden dragon to attack, confident that its sheer strength would overpower Zhuo Fan's gentle flame. "A dragon's strength lies in its toughness," he declared. "Your gentle flame can't match my dragon's ferocity." But Zhuo Fan only smirked. "Haven't you heard of overcoming hardness with softness?" he taunted. "Are you so sure your fierce flame can defeat my gentle flame?" Without hesitation, Ye Lin ordered his golden dragon to strike. Its claws, burning with golden flames, slammed into the azure dragon's spine. The attack sent a wave of pain through Zhuo Fan's mind, but he gritted his teeth and endured. Meanwhile, the azure dragon countered with its own attack, its claws, reaching for the golden dragon. Ye Lin sneered. "Your gentle flame is good for defense, but it lacks the power to harm my dragon. This attack is useless." But Zhuo Fan's grin widened. "Who said I only have 3 variations?" The atmosphere shifted. A new presence emerged, a dragon's soul wreathed in purple lightning. The golden dragon's belly was suddenly pierced by a claw crackling with thunderous energy. The impact sent spiritual energy scattering in all directions. Ye Lin staggered, blood dripping from his mouth as disbelief clouded his eyes. "Impossible," he whispered. The golden dragon writhed, in agony, unable to withstand the power of the purple lightning. Its body convulsed, and its golden flames flickered weakly. Zhuo Fan's voice was calm, but laced with triumph. "This is the heaven-crushing Dragon King, my 4th variation. Did you really think I'd reveal all my cards so easily?" Realization dawned on Ye Lin. Every move Zhuo Fan had made up until now had been part of a grand strategy to lure him into a trap. By focusing on the azure dragon, Ye Lin had overlooked the possibility of a 4th variation. It was a fatal mistake. Everything was a setup. Ye Lin muttered, his voice trembling with rage and regret. Zhuo Fan's grin turned sinister. Exactly. You fell right into my hands. Now, it's time to end this. The purple dragon roared, its claws tearing through the golden dragon's defenses. Lightning crackled with each strike, overwhelming Ye Lin's fierce flame. The once mighty golden dragon was now on the verge of collapse, its strength no match for Zhuo Fan's calculated assault. The audience watched in stunned silence, their hearts pounding with anticipation. Zhuo Fan's victory seemed inevitable, but the sheer audacity of his tactics left them reeling. As the battle reached its climax, Zhuo Fan's voice echoed through the arena. Remember this, Ye Lin. True strength doesn't come from raw power alone. It comes from understanding your opponent and using their weaknesses against them. That's the difference between you and me. With one final, thunderous roar, the gay, heaven-crushing Dragon King delivered the finishing blow. The golden dragon shattered into fragments of light, its energy dissipating into the void. Ye Lin fell to his knees, his body trembling as the reality of his defeat sank in. The arena erupted into chaos. Some cheered, others wept, and many simply stood in awe of Zhuo Fan's unparalleled mastery. Zhuo Fan, however, remained calm. He turned to Ye Lin, his expression unreadable. This was never about winning or losing. It was about proving a point. You relied on brute force, while I relied on strategy. That's why you lost. Ye Lin looked up, his eyes filled with a mixture of anger and admiration. He had underestimated Zhuo Fan, and it had cost him everything. As the dust settled, Zhuo Fan stood tall, his presence radiating an aura of invincibility. The crowd knew they had witnessed something extraordinary, a battle that would be remembered for generations to come.